Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 6955 Southwest Queen Lane here in Beaverton. We're located at the front of the home. We're just off to the right of the front doorway. We have a 4-inch cast iron cleanout. Has a little white cap that sits on top of it here. This will be our point of access. I'm going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Currently have water running. Here we go. In this first little bit here, we're going to actually move the camera in just a moment. Let this water drop off here for just a second. We have a backflow valve almost immediately upon access here, and to avoid knocking the flap loose, we're going to just move up to the backflow valve access point. That's what that is right here at 4 feet. I just wanted to check that pipe out here real quick, and then we're going to move over to that one. But it's cast iron, then switches right over to ABS plastic. And all that little 4-foot section we just scoped there, though, is in good shape and flowing properly. Alright, we're now over at the backflow valve here. It's this larger 6-inch cleanout opening. That's where we started from, right up there. And it looks like it transitions here immediately upon this access over to 4-inch 3034 PVC pipe. Looks like the line has had an update done to it. And I tell you what, it is rather uncommon to have an access point like this for the backflow valve. Usually they're buried 3 feet deep, so it is nice to see that. From time to time, these backflow valves can dislodge the flapper itself, so it's nice to be able to get to it if you have to. Alrighty, here at just 24 feet, so in total we've scoped about 30 feet of line between that first little bit and this section here. We'll call it 30 feet where we hit the main. I'm going to do some locates real quick just to verify where this is at. Looks like it's probably under the sidewalk at this distance out. And then we'll let the line drain out completely. There's a couple joints in here I want to check out that look like they've had some separation. Alright, located the camera head successfully. It terminates at the main underneath the sidewalk area. And if you look just down the street about 100 feet, you can see a manhole in the sidewalk. Kind of a unique setup to not have it out in the middle of the road. Anyway, there were a couple joints that were kind of hard to see on the way out with the water running, but they looked like they were showing some signs of separation. This one right here in particular. There's a rubber Fernco around these joints that secure them together. And as far as I can tell here, it looks like it's still sealed off from the ground. It looks like we still have rubber Fernco from edge to edge, but up at the top of the pipe there, that is separated by a fair amount. There's, I mean, probably close to 1.5 inches or so of separation. There's only so much overlap you have with these things before, obviously, the pipe opens up to the ground. I'm going to see where this is at here real quick. At this point, it doesn't appear to be affecting functionality, but a joint like this is more susceptible to roots getting into it. And for all we know, it could be in some type of state of settling. It might get worse, it might stay like that forever, and it might have been installed that way. It's really hard to tell which of those things happened. There's a few different things caught up here at the joint. For the most part, it's looking like cobwebs. We don't get a great view up at the top of the pipe there. Anyway, when they're not butted up tight like this, they can still be sold off from the ground, but they are more prone to getting roots through them because you don't have the pipes butted up nice and tight against each other. That, and you don't have nearly as much overlap over the joint to protect the pipe from something getting in there. Now, this is located up at the front of the property, about 3 feet or so from the sidewalk area. Anyway, due to the amount of separation here, whenever there's this much that's pulled apart, I am going to recommend a spot repair to correct it. At this point, as best I can tell, everything up at the top there appears to just be cobwebs. I mean, it's possible you may have root hairs coming through there, but generally those are going to dangle all the way down into the pipe so they can get to water. And at this point, it appears that it's still sealed off from the ground. I'm seeing nothing but fern coat there, but this amount of separation, though, does make me a bit nervous that something might happen there in the future. I'm inclined to have to recommend a repair at that spot there. At this point, it's not affecting functionality. To be honest, it's more of a liability issue for me not to recommend a spot repair at that location. But at this time, it is not affecting functionality. Everything's flowing past that point. I'm not seeing anything open to the ground there. So just keep that in mind. We are already back to the clean out here. This joint showing a little bit of separation there. This looks more like they had to install it this way to get angle on the line, and that's butted up nice and tight there. That does not concern me at all. Now we're going to go and reel the camera on out of the line. Aside from that one separated joint there, the rest of the pipe we just scoped is in good condition. We do at this time have good flow all the way out to the main lateral, and the line is functioning properly at this time. I do recommend a spot repair on that joint. If you don't do a repair on it, and I would to a certain extent understand if you didn't do it, at this point it's not affecting anything. It's more of a preventative measure than anything to correct that. But if you don't do it, I would do a rescope maybe in anywhere from 1 to 3 years. You know, maybe give it a little bit of time just to keep an eye on things, make sure that doesn't move. Sometimes you catch these things when they're in a state of settling, and that can be for a myriad of different reasons. It might be like that from now until the end of time. It's really hard to predict that, but I would recommend rescoping it in time just to keep an eye on things. Make sure nothing's happening there. It's up close to kind of where the little shrubs are at the edge of the driveway. Those are fairly small plants, and I would say it's rather unlikely for those things to intrude down to that depth. It's about 6 feet deep there. I think it's 5 feet 10 inches to be exact. Anyway, aside from that, the rest of the line's looking good.